Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of March 25th to March 31st. Before we do any type of recap or look ahead, I have some announcements to make. One, there will not be Facebook Lives this week. There will not. For those that don't know, I am the oldest of 16 kids. That's a lot of charts. That's a lot of activations. I also already have a family member in my full-time care. Some of y'all know that already. I have already had in the buildup up to this eclipse some things that have culminated within my family that has made me aware that I need to be available over the next 48 hours. I am, of course, recording this on Sunday morning. It's when I normally record. So many of you guys already knew that part. If you have an appointment with me on Monday, just so you guys know, I will be messaging you to move said appointment because I'm going to be moving said appointments. My other day that I would normally have a Facebook Live is one of the times that I have the most openings. So some of the people for Monday will be getting moved to either Wednesday evening or Friday or next month, because of course, next month starts next week. So that's fun. 12th house eclipse, guys, is so fun. It's so fun. Yeah, blindsiding, healing. Yay. Moving along. Reminder number 2, all of my one-on-ones are on special for $35. If you have already paid for a personalized horoscope, those will still be going out this week. I'm going to try to get them done in between my different appointments. Those will still be going out, but this is the last week to book those. However, my one-on-ones, I said this at the beginning of the month. I'm reminding you again now, and I will remind you guys again at the April month ahead forecast that my one-on-ones are on special for both March and April. Because why? This shit show starts in March, but it takes up most of April. Yay. 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 Okay. Anyways. Oh, literally the way that we start this week is the eclipse. That's the very first train that we're going to talk about. However, you guys know me, I will do a separate video for that. My goal is to actually record this one and then immediately record that the lunar eclipse one after this. So you're probably going to see 2 videos with me in the same hoodie. Get over it. Now, I'm not going to do too heavy on that eclipse. What I am going to remind everybody of is about last week going into this week. Every day last week was a buildup to an eclipse that did not happen last week because it happens this week. Happens in the overnight hours of Sunday going into Monday. Now that mainly applies to the States. Some other areas, it might still technically be Sunday evening, but as it goes for us, mainly it's going to be Monday morning. Now, I'm not, again, going to go too heavy into this, but what I am going to also remind everybody of is that this lunar eclipse is the one that's attached to the South Node. What is the South Node? It's the body without a head. It's the body that has been discarded, disgraced, removed, eliminated, outgrown. It is the body that has been tossed aside. And what I said last week going into this eclipse is that many of us are going to hit a culmination like energy. And that culmination can be a level up, taking on something new, moving into a new direction, or leveling up into something, or it's going to be a completion, an ending. And a lot of the energy that is surrounding this timeline, we are aware of it. 1, we've had a lot of buildup into this energy. 2, there are parts of the transits in the sky that directly tie back to last August and September. So many of us are starting to notice the pattern of people that we were talking to, events that were going on last year, situations that were being dealt with last year. We're coming full circle to them. We're coming into another part of the energy. We're coming back around, but it's not the exact same situations. Might be the same person, different topic. Same situation, newer people. Like it's not exactly the same, but there are elements of whatever is going on in your life right now that for many of us are tying back to the end of last summer. I need you guys to be aware of that. Start paying attention. Some of you have been paying attention. You're already starting to notice the little idiosyncrasies. I'm reminding everybody that there are elements of what's going on right now that we are able to tie back to last year. Now, for some people, that's a good thing. For other people, it's not so good. Now, the other thing about this week is the fact that when I pull the charts up, you'll see this. At the start of Monday, Mercury is going to be at 23 degrees. And Mercury usually takes about 1 to 1.5 degrees a day. Like he's fast. He blew through Pisces in less than 2.5 weeks. He's fast. But not this time, because Mercury is going to start to slow down to go retrograde. And every day this week, every day is a buildup to something that's going to turn around, to some type of situation that's going to make a turn, to some type of communication, to some type of planning, to some type of strategy that's going to turn around. But that turnaround is not directly going to happen this week. No, every day this week is leading up to that. And it's going to happen next week. Repeating a pattern. There's a buildup of energy. Now, what a lot of people are going to be dealing with based off of both that slowdown of Mercury and the activation of that culminating eclipse is many of us are going to have some type of event that either happened this last week, because every day this last week was building up in the energy. So we either just had something occur or we're about to have it occur on like Monday or Tuesday of this week. And that's the human effect. That afterwards, it's like we're stewing. We don't immediately have a way to turn something around. We don't immediately have a way to handle something. We don't immediately know how to deal with a certain person. Because mentally, we're not reacting the same. We're not able to comprehend everything on the same level. And the thing is, the slower Mercury goes, the more restless his energy is going to be. And that can be very infuriating if you don't know the energy that is grabbing you. And I've said this for a while. Once we get into a lot of these Aries transits, there will be a lot more energy that speaks to being right and righteous, whether you are correct or not. There is this energy that speaks to being both right and righteous. People that act righteous act in a way that they're going to push for people to see their way. And if you don't see their way, they're going to go after you. They're going to say something to you. They're going to bitch you out. The way they respond to you, the way they react to you, it's not healthy, to say the least. Now, is everybody going to be that way? No, not necessarily, but a lot of you, as we've gone through these first few weeks of these Aries transits, you've seen it. You've seen it on social media. You've seen it with a family member. You felt it yourself, just a little bit more irritable. The more things are not going quite your way, the more irritable you become. Road rage. Hadn't thought to say that one until now, but I've seen a good fair part of that too. Suddenly people have a lot more road rage. Adding in that Mercury will be going slower this week, some people's road rage, they might be slow to react to keep themselves from doing something stupid. Yeah. I'm saying this as I've seen like 5 people over this weekend drive into buildings. Not a joke. That's happened a lot here locally. There was like a brewery like right around the corner from my house that somebody drove through their front. Super, super fun. It is what it is. The actions and reactions are going to be intense this week. And adding into the fact that we're now in the eclipse, We're feeling this eclipse energy. We've been feeling the build up to it all last week, but now we're actually going to be in it. People are going to feel like they're not getting answers, information, their needs in some way, shape, or form met fast enough. We are going to be wanting to move faster than the actual energy will allow. And for some people, that's going to be infuriating. That's going to be frustrating. For other people, it's going to be trying to manage others, so as we have a better grip on our personal patience. And the thing is, not everybody else does. Now, something that happened last week that directly impacts the energy of this week is Mars. The two rulers of this eclipse axis are now both in Pisces. Venus has been here for getting close to 2 weeks now. But over the last few days, going into this week, Mars has now entered Pisces. And where before the elements of Aries was like he wanted to argue about things that have already been going on for a long time. He wanted to argue about the things that have been set in stone. We've been wanting to change something that has been very long-term set. The thing is, initially, that was being met with resistance. Why do you want to change? This is the way we've always done it. Because it doesn't work. A good portion of the energy going into this week is going to be trying to make people aware of what hasn't been working and why we need to change it. And again, you're not going to be able to convince everybody fast enough. However, not everything about Mars and Pisces is going to have to do with change, but a lot of people it's going to have to do with healing. And some of the recent events leading up to this eclipse have disrupted something that's going to bring up a deep-seated wound. There's going to be something that comes to light, that comes to the surface. And given all the other transits that went through Pisces, there's going to be a lot more force in how we make someone heal. We're going to try to push for some people to heal. That's not going to go over very well. We're going to push for some people to face some demons. That's not going to go over very well because not everybody is ready to change their mindset. However, there is something about this week that is meant to trigger how we change our mindset. And I don't feel like that's really going to click until we get to the end of the actual week. And that kind of speaks through the transits of how we're going to end the day on Sunday. We got to get to Sunday. And we got to get through this week before we can even understand where that transition and where that turnaround is going to be. So let's get into the week. Let's get into the transits. Let's get into Monday, March 25th. And we are starting at what? 2:30 in the morning. Why? Because at exactly 2 a.m., and y'all know me, I do this by the hour, so I'm not going to bump that 10 minutes or 30 minutes. But here we are. Here's the moon in Libra, 5 degrees. Here's the sun in Aries, 5 degrees. We're just past the actual lunar eclipse that is perfecting in the overnight hours of Sunday going into Monday. Again, some of us just had something culminate last week that's tied to this eclipse. Others of us are going to have something that's going to happen on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how this is actually going to perfect for you. So understand that I'm going to do a separate lunar eclipse video. Here's the actual eclipse. Here's the start of eclipse season. And this is how we're going to be for the next month. Woo! Eclipse season. Yay. Okay. Now, the thing about Monday is there's not a whole lot of transits. There's really not. So yes, is this perfecting at 2:30 in the morning? Absolutely. Does that mean that everything that's going to happen in our lives is going to manifest at this time? Hell no. No, not at all. The human effect is this eclipse energy can activate for us at any time throughout the day. Now, considering right before this eclipse on Sunday, Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, made a sextile to Jupiter, and they're still in their sextile at the time that this is perfecting. There can be parts of this energy that, again, are carrying through from the weekend. They are carrying from where we were just at. And we need some level, again, of healing, of understanding, of support, of connection, considering Jupiter is the host of Venus. They're in mutual reception, but we're putting it as Jupiter's in the host. Jupiter can represent the guru, the teacher, the doctor, the medicine, somebody that gives hope. Where is Venus? In Jupiter's sign. Where is this eclipse? In Venus's sign. We need to be very, very aware of what Pisces rules in our chart, because it can be the place where a lot of this energy starts to actually manifest for people. Because both the rulers of the eclipses are going to be in Pisces when the eclipses happen. So here we go. What does Pisces rule in your chart? Moving along. After the eclipse perfects, there's not a whole lot to Monday. To the point that the only thing that I put down in my notes is what's going to happen around nighttime. We're going to get to 11:30 at night. There you go. And this is going to be whenever the moon hits the south node conjunction. Again, this is the lunar eclipse tied to the south node. This is going to be things that impact the body, affect the body. Many of us had some things that were affecting us all weekend. We were tired. We wanted to spend the entire weekend in bed. We had something that literally impacted us, and we felt something in our lungs, in our chest. We felt something in our back and some area of our body. We felt something getting up to this point. And if you have certain people that have not been in great health, that they were impacted, we can start to become more aware of things tied to the body as Monday progresses and as this moon gets closer to the south node. Doesn't all have to happen at 10, 11, and 12 o'clock at night. That's the human effect. It can happen anywhere throughout the day. But considering this is the eclipse that's going to be tied to the south node, there's something about cleansing, purging, releasing, overcoming, dismissing. When the dragon got separated from his body, he didn't want the body anymore. He tossed it aside. There's a reason I keep saying this. This is a level of culmination for a lot of people. Culmination, completions, level up type of thing. All right, moving along. That's Monday. Monday is just the eclipse. Oh, we're going to go into Tuesday. And again, we don't have a whole lot going on. The thing about Monday and Tuesday is that the moon is going to be in Libra, and it's in conjunct Pisces, and it's in conjunct Saturn. Taurus. I don't know why I said Saturn. Saturn too, because Saturn's in Pisces, but it's in conjunct these other placements. So it's going to feel like Monday and Tuesday, we're meeting levels of indifference. We're meeting levels of frustration. We're not seeing eye to eye with everybody. We're trying to explain things to people that they don't understand, that they don't want to comprehend, that they don't want to believe. And again, that's the human effect of both Monday and Tuesday. When it gets to the energy of Tuesday, there's only one direct transit that's actually going to happen, and it goes the most exact between 5 and 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I want to get this to 6:30. Here we go. And that is when the moon hits this opposition to Mercury. Mercury, who's slowing down. Mercury, who's in a very volatile mood. When it comes to Tuesday evening, there could be certain things that we're trying to talk about, that we're trying to explain, that we're trying to put into, semblance of some sort for other people, that they are not wanting to hear it. It's falling on deaf ears. I don't want to hear what you have to say right now. I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm so sick of you not communicating. I'm so sick of you being one way or the other way. And we're sitting here in these issues, and we can have this level of tension. I do really feel like the moon opposite Mercury can be a lot of tension because Mercury is feeling so stuck, not going very, very far. We're just at the edge of Tuesday. He's barely went his degree and a half, which usually by now, like, he would be almost out of Aries. He should have been out of Aries by now, but he's not. So there can be this restless, stirring energy of where we're trying to get something communicated and we're not hearing what we want to hear. We're not aware of everything, or we're getting told you'll find out more tomorrow. I want to know now. You can't know now. Some of us are going to be having some level of exchange where we're trying to get something understood. The moon is in Venus's sign. And just there's going to be that other side that they don't want to hear it. Or they're going to pop off. They're going to say something that they don't need to be saying. And it's going to potentially create issues and create tension. Be aware of people's moods when we get into the later part of Tuesday. Okay. After the moon's opposition to Mercury, nothing going on. Everything's going through these inconjunctions. Everything's going through this energy where we're not seeing eye to eye. The more and more tension, the more and more we feel like we're not getting support, the more it feels like everything's going to go awry. And we get into Wednesday. And we get a little bit different. It gets a little bit better. At 4:03 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon goes into Scorpio. Got this at 4:30. Between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m., the moon is going to square Pluto. The moon is in the higher authority. The moon is squaring Pluto from its own sign. So there is something about we need to get an understanding. How do we go forward from here? How do we fix this? How can we make something different? How can we make something better? How can we get something to change? Do we need to make changes? Did something happen with one of our family members and now we need to go home and like change something around the house to make some things more accessible? Need to make up the downstairs guest room because somebody can't go upstairs, that type of thing. We might be discussing how something needs to change or where something needs to change or when or who's going to do it. Does not have to be heavy. Considering Pluto has not been involved with a lot of these energies, this can be us just telling somebody else what has just occurred. Where has things just recently changed? Where have we recently been triggered by something? You can be going to like coffee with your girlfriends and be like, oh my God, I cannot believe the way everything has gone these last few days. I know. Doesn't have to be heavy. Doesn't have to be the worst. Now, after the moon square to Pluto, not a whole lot going on until we get into right around here, right around lunchtime. Moon trine Mars. Where is the moon? It is in Scorpio. Who rules Scorpio? Pluto and Mars. These are the only transits to Monday, or I'm sorry, we're on Wednesday now. You can see how fast we're blowing through parts of this week. You can also see that there are going to be energies as to like, we're not getting a whole lot done or a whole lot accomplished because we're trying to get things understood. Now, if the moon square to Pluto was like, okay, so we need to make these changes, we're all making agreements, maybe some of us are having to take the actions by the afternoon. That's the actions of making up that guest room. There's some type of supportive action that's going on here. We are trying to understand some of the things that are going on below the surface that have been going on in the body. And some people are not always going to like what they hear. Some of us are going to be hearing like how we need to make some changes because of what has just occurred. And this energy can speak to changes, voicing changes, supporting some changes, supporting some level of healing action or actions that are tied to healing. very watery energy right here. And this can be very emotional energy whenever we get to Wednesday, because now the moon is in Scorpio and everything else is in Pisces. But after the moon square to Pluto and the moon's trine to Mars, nothing else happens. It's just the moon in Scorpio all day long. There are no other direct transits. But what I'm going to bring up is, please pay attention that Mercury is still going very, very slow in the other Mars ruled sign. So even though we're not having any direct transits, there's still a restlessness in a lot of the energy. And I feel like once we get into Thursday, I keep wanting to move the days around. I'm so sorry. That's when things are going to finally pick up. We're going to feel like a lot of things are going very, very slow all week until we get to Thursday. Now, we have two transits that are going to hit contra-ANTISCIAs on Thursday. The first one happens about 1:40 in the morning, so I'll bump this to 1:30. And that is when Mercury goes through its contra-ANTISCIA to Mars. So again, if I fold the chart right here on the equinox line, boom, Mercury and Mars are laying on top of each other. The moon is in Mars' sign, Mercury is in Mars' sign, and Mars is in Pisces. There's something that can activate internal activations, some type of like confirmation of something going on behind the scenes. We finally get some lab results back. We finally get something confirmed that in the confirmation, we don't get that in the exact moment, but it seems to play out throughout the rest of the day. Now, the other contra-ANTISCIA that's going to happen is between Venus and the Sun, and that actually goes exact at 9 o'clock in the morning. They're not too far apart right here. So again, if we lay the chart on top of each other, Venus and the Sun are on top of each other. Venus has some level of expression, something she wants to heal, something she wants to voice, something that she wants to care for. And the Sun being a reflection of the ego, the Sun in its exaltation, Venus in its exaltation, we feel very empowered to get something going on Thursday, to get something worked through. And the contra-ANTISCIAs are one element of the energy. Everything else is going to play out through the actual physical transits. But I wanted to bring this part up because I feel like there's literally some type of like internal click, an activation, an awareness, something that comes through, something that gets discovered behind the scenes, something that's been a secret that's going to come out really fast. Doesn't have to all be secrets. Let me see. But there is something here of like about discovery and things coming to light. This thing that we need to heal coming to light. This thing that we need to face and work through coming to light. And some element can be spoken through like we have a responsibility to bring something to light, to handle something, to take care of something, specifically around an elder or an authority figure. And that plays through between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 6:30. Here's the moon, 13 degrees, 21 minutes. What is the moon doing? It is going through the trine with Saturn. Water to water, flow, deep-seated things being brought to the surface. The ruler of Scorpio, the traditional ruler, is also in Pisces. We might have gotten something secured and moved and handled, a physical action of something the day before that now is being expressed that it's been handled. A responsibility has been dealt with. Some of us are going to be just meeting with an authority figure. This does not have to be heavy energy. Meeting with an elder, meeting around an elder, about an elder. Some of us are going to be having some type of communication about a new role change because, again, there was a level up for some people in that full moon. And we're telling people and expressing to people, this is my new place. This is my new role. This is what I do now. This is who I am now. Pay attention to me. Let's get something lighthearted in this energy. Okay. Now, the other thing that's going to happen in the morning time, I'm going to get this to about 8:30 and then here we go. Venus is going to sextile Uranus. Now, when Venus is sextiling Uranus, this is actually when her contra-ANTISCIA to the sun is exact. So there's something about we feel like we want to handle something. We feel like we need to heal something. We feel like we need to make something known, expressed. We feel empowered to take some action. We feel empowered to do something. But with Uranus's energy here, whatever we're empowered to do, whatever we're allowing to be seen, whatever we're allowing to be known, good, bad, or ugly, for other people is very unexpected. For other people, it's super exciting because there's the Uranus element. Now, some of you are going to be in the process of, over the next week, of taking a new role. And you might not exactly announce it on Monday. You might wait a few days. This is a hellacious day to announce something. Just to be clear, there can be something that is very hopeful and healing that comes to light. It doesn't have to be heavy. There can be some other things that are heavy that can come to light. It really kind of depends on, like, if you have natal placements in any of these areas that have been really activated lately. And again, that's what those personalized horoscopes were for. So you could prepare for things like this. But all in all, the transits themselves do not feel heavy, but they do feel very revealing on Thursday. Like there is something that's meant to come to light, that is being brought to the surface, that is being acted upon, that is going through situations, that's going to go to the next level. And when other people are hearing about it, they are not expecting it. It is exciting. It is out of the box. It is out of the blue. Be aware of that. Around lunchtime, between 12 and 2 p.m., so I'm going to just bump this to 1:30, the moon is going to go through an opposition with Jupiter. This is interesting to me because so much of the energy is in Jupiter's sign. And again, this feels like we're announcing things, we're bringing things to light, we're telling people, we're getting support, we're learning more. But another part of this can be some level of recognition, some level of news. Some of us, we've been having a heavy energy throughout the week, and we've been waiting to understand more. We needed to hear from the doctor. We were waiting to get these scans, and there's something about all of this week is now we're getting some guidance into Thursday. Thursday's a lot busier than the rest of this week. And it feels like we're just culminating and hitting a bunch of things all through the day on Thursday. The moon's opposition to Jupiter can be an interaction about all of the recent events that have been going on throughout the day. The moon's opposition to Jupiter can be a moment where we're getting news from the doctor. We're getting some type of guidance in regards to health, in regards to healing. We're getting some additional information. We're having some type of exchange with the guru, something that leads to support, that allows for us to feel support. There's something very hopeful and helpful in this energy. And as we continue throughout the day, it's like it keeps being the vibe. So if you had a good eclipse, I feel like this energy in this day is going to go well. If you have had like a heavy eclipse energy, then this day is going to be like a ping pong ball. Like we're trying to get things in motion. We're trying to get things handled. Now, back to Uranus and Venus. So we're going to get this to 9:30 p.m. because this is going to encapsulate two things. One, between 8 and 10 p.m., the moon is hitting an opposition to Uranus. That's the one that goes the most exactest, between 8 and 10. So we're just past it at 9:30. However, between 9 and 11 p.m., that's why I put it at 9:30, the moon is going to trine Venus. We could announce something earlier in the day. And remember, whenever Venus was going through that sextile to Uranus, it was also going through that contra-ANTISCIA to the sun. So there was a lot more empowerment to that Venus-Uranus transit than would be immediately recognizable for a lot of people. And as we go through the day, we are going to get another layer to that energy. We're going to be seeing something additional, Some of us were going to be dealing with our own things in the morning. We get to the evening time, we're scrolling on Facebook and we're seeing like announcement, 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 engagement, job promotion, passing away. I hate to say it, it's the truth. Ding, 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 ding. And it's like we're coming up to learn everybody else's stuff because our stuff was earlier in the day. Just like theirs, our stuff happened earlier. Some of us are going to be talking to those people going, oh my God, I just saw your announcement on Facebook. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations on the baby. I can't believe you're going to get married. Am I going to be a bridesmaid? Am I going to be a groomsman? Like, what are we doing? What's the bachelor party plan? Like, there can be something like that where we're taking on the next level. We're getting the next round of information. We're having the next exchange based off of the stuff that was going on earlier in the day. There can just be like a continuous effective exchanges all day, but there's something about the evening time that speaks to like the extra layer, the next part, something additional to it, or an outside source to it. Okay. Oh, after the moon's opposition to Uranus, the moon's trine to Venus, we're done with Thursday. There's a lot of energy to Thursday. A lot of us are going to be going through those moments where we're just like, we're zonked. We're tired. And then we're going to get into Friday, the 29th. Now, for most of the day on Friday, the moon's going to be in Scorpio. We're going to get to the early morning. And between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through a trine with Neptune. Now, here's the thing about the moon trine Neptune is while it's going through this, the moon is also going in conjunct Mercury, not seeing eye to eye with Mercury. Mercury is about to turn retrograde. We can hear something that we don't necessarily want to act upon immediately, that we don't immediately believe, that we don't immediately understand. One, it's a Neptune transit. And you know how I feel about Neptune. I don't hide it. I'm super real about that. But the other half of the situation is that the moon is hitting that in conjunction to Mercury. So we can be meeting something that we are resistant to. Somebody's saying they need help with something, they're trying to work through something, they're trying to deal with something, and we don't necessarily immediately know how we make that work. Might take a few days. Now, some people might be like doing something creative. Humor me, we are going into a holiday weekend that other person doesn't know about. And that's a super mundane example. I'm going to do all the Easter egg filling, but the kids don't know that I'm doing it because they're at school. I'm going to do a bunch of Easter eggs for them. Or they don't even live with you. Somebody is doing something that another person is not aware of, does not agree with, does not understand. And that can be heavy, but that can be light. Because if it's like the kids and Easter eggs, that's pretty lighthearted. But if you're trying to hear about somebody's treatments and you don't know how you're going to logistically work it out in the immediate, that can be the other half of it. So be aware that this can be one of two directions whenever it comes to this early morning time frame. We can either feel very nostalgic and inspired and creative, again, going with the Easter egg ploy, or we can be a little confused, unsure, not quite knowing how we want to do something, not quite knowing how we want to fix something or make something happen. Right here on Friday morning. Okay. Moving us along. At 2:52 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go into Sagittarius. 3:30, here's the moon, Sagittarius. Between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to sextile Pluto. Not heavy. The moon is in Jupiter's sign. All the other transits are in Jupiter's sign. What does Jupiter and Taurus represent for you? There can be indirect effects that have a helpful energy. Hey, were you able to get that stuff moved around? Were you able to get that loaded? Were you able to get that taken care of? Were you able to rearrange that room? Were you able to take that action? Were you able to do something? Were you able to make that physical change? Yes, I was. That's like the supportive energy. Or when the moon was squaring Pluto 2 days earlier, maybe we ask somebody if they can help us come do a physical change. And this might be the day that we're actually doing the physical change. Just to be clear, we get some kind of support to overcome the fear, some level of help to overcome that situation, to change something, to transform something. This does not have to be heavy. Take that with a grain of salt whenever I get to keep saying that the moon and Pluto don't have to be heavy. Okay. After these two transits, Friday's not heavy at all. It's not got a lot going on. The next transit that we're going to get into is not actually going to happen until after midnight, going into the 30th. And that is between 1 and 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, Saturday morning. But for some of us late night people, this will be Friday night. The moon is going to square Mars. This can be a little heavier because now we have the energy starting to wind down from the full moon and move into the new moon that's going to happen in Mars's sign. But we also have an energy around Mercury in Mars's sign. There can be some misunderstanding, some confusion, some aggression. Not a great night to go out and have a few drinks, in my opinion. There can be some tensions that come up late Friday night going into Saturday, or we can have a very hard time sleeping. A lot of us have already been having the crazy eclipse dreams. I know that. I'll talk about that in the eclipse video, but I'm not surprised. Some of us might be having a hard time sleeping, very irritable, very awake, because we haven't been able to fully wrap our head around something with Mercury like slowing down right now. That irritability, it can be a lot. The restlessness can be a lot Friday night going into Saturday. Not quite comfortable. If you're suddenly sleeping in the guest room when you would normally be sleeping upstairs, I'm going to keep using that example. You're used to sleeping upstairs in a big king size bed, and now you're sleeping in a queen size, that the mattress isn't the same, like it's not worn in the same places. You're restless. You're restless. This can be a lot of that. Restless, tense, kind of frustrating energy. I don't like that it's happening so late at night, because that means that there can be a lot of things that start to play out. And if you have people in the medical field, this is not going to be a fun night for them. It's really not. This week is not going to be fun for them, but this is going to be another one of those nights that it's not fun. Okay. We get into the morning time between 10 and 12. So 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The moon is going to trine the sun. The moon is in Jupiter's sign. The sun is in its exaltation. We can be feeling very motivated. We can feel very, very excited. We can be feeling like something's about to fall into place. We can be feeling some type of action. We can be learning about some action that somebody's doing. We can be seeing somebody's motivation kind of clicking in. And in the moment, it's not that big of a deal. There's some excitement. There's something helpful. There's something hopeful. As we continue throughout the day, the moon is going to then go into a square with Saturn. And that's going to be felt between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. So here we have it at 4:30. Here's the moon, 13 degrees, 28 minutes, hitting the square exact at this moment with Saturn. There we go. Now the moon is in the higher authority. Saturn has been in Pisces for a while. This can have to do with some type of like questioning, some type of need, some type of desire that is being pushed upon the elder, some level of additional responsibility being pushed on somebody. Hey, I had to make a sudden change. Somebody else had something coming up. Can you take this on? Can you do this extra thing? Can you go to this extra place? Can you do these extra pickups? Hey, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the bakery and where they're going to close, by 5 p.m. Can you run over there real quick and go pick up the cake for tomorrow? Like, there can be a push to take on some additional responsibilities. That doesn't have to be heavy if you choose not to react to it as a heavy thing. But there can be a need for somebody to take on additional responsibility. There can be a questioning of something tied to responsibility. Can you do this extra thing for mom? Can you do this extra thing for grandpa? Like this type of thing. Can you make those favorite deviled eggs? You know your recipe that's not like my recipe. Can you make that one? Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Okay. Wasn't in my plans, but great. Okay. No. Okay. After the moon square with Saturn, not a whole lot going on. There's really not. Mercury is slowing down. Mercury is going to start to station at that 27-degree mark where he'll be turning retrograde on Monday, but we're not going to be talking about Monday a whole lot until we get to next week. We're just going to stick to the energy of Sunday. We're going to get this to right around lunchtime. Between 12 and 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to square Venus. Venus is in her exaltation. The moon is in Jupiter's sign. The moon likes being in Jupiter's sign, so let's be clear about that. This can be something that's really hopeful and helpful. We're talking about the way something looks. You look so much better. You look so pretty. This looks so great. I'm so happy we did this. I can't believe it. The food looks amazing. A lot of times Venus can have to do with food. Who made this? This is a holiday. Let's be clear. It's a holiday. You're going to hear me doing a lot of food examples. Oh my God, I can't believe you put together this whole like Easter basket situation. Oh, the kids are going to love it. They love soft stuff. They love fun stuff. They love this. I love the way this tastes. Can I get your recipe? This does not have to be heavy energy when the moon hits the square to Venus. Given the way that we're kind of going through the day, I don't feel like this is going to be the heavier energy. I feel like once we go through parts of Sunday, knowing that everybody's going to be in holiday mode and Easter mode and everything else, this does not have to be crazy. Now, we're going to keep this going. We're going to get to the last transit of the day, basically. And this is going to go with the most exact. We're going to go right here to 7:30. Okay, so we got two things going on basically simultaneously between 5 and 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is going to trine Mercury. Mercury, who's about to turn retrograde. Number two, the moon is going to square Neptune. Now, whenever the moon was in Scorpio, I said, like, when the moon was in the trine to Neptune, for some people that was going to be creative. For other people, that was going to be an understanding of how we get something that we need to do, something that we need to change, but we don't know exactly how we're going to do it because the moon was not aspecting Mercury in a clear way. It was in conjunct. Now it's not. Mercury is about to turn something around. And there's something here about whenever the moon hits that square to Neptune and that trine to Mercury, basically simultaneously, that we need to understand where we need to make a change, where we need to change the strategy, where we need to rework something, where we need to revise something, where we need to repurpose, reorganize, reshape, because it's Mercury. Because it's Mercury. But at the same time, we have that moon square to Neptune. So for some people, we're confused. Well, why do we need to make this change? Because it's necessary. And some people, it's not necessarily that we're confused. We can have the kid situation going, okay, you can't crawl on grandpa's lap right now. Why not? I always crawl on grandpa's lap because grandpa's not feeling good right now. Well, grandpa, maybe I can give you a hug. No, leave grandpa, give him some space. We can see the effects of something and we're having to communicate it in an understanding way. That can be lighter stuff. Other people, we need to reorganize, restructure, re-strategize because this effect of something is very, very adamant and clear and aware. Neptune had a hand in that eclipse. I'm not covering that in this video. I will cover that in the actual eclipse video. But Neptune had a very big hand in that eclipse and in the energies around the eclipse. And you guys have heard me talk about Neptune for a while. Some element of this, as we're one, getting closer to the first quarter moon, two, as we're getting into understanding new things. In some ways, it's about old situations, or we're understanding new people, or we're trying to get new people up to date on old things. Like there's some element of both new and old simultaneously going on. There is something about Sunday evening that makes us very aware of a click, of why something needs to turn around. Because by the end of the night, there's no direct transit to this, but it's still happening. By the end of the night, the moon's going to go into Capricorn. This actually happens at 11:06 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will start the Mercury retrograde with the moon in Capricorn. And this tells me that there is some things that need to be expressed, understood, voiced, worked through, and dealt with throughout the week that directly impact the more positive effects of that Mercury retrograde. Because that Mercury retrograde, if you use the appropriate energy, it is going to be great for revitalizing, refocusing, repurposing, and redoing something that we want to click. However, not everybody is going to be able to do that. And every day this week is going to be leading up to something that's going to turn around. And sometimes when we have those Neptune energies, there can be something that does not make clear sense that is impacting us. And I've said this kind of stuff before. Neptune likes to flood those senses. Mercury had a conjunction to Neptune. That was March 17th. Then the Sun had a conjunction to Neptune. No, that was the one that was March 17th. Mercury was the week before. But as we get closer to the start of the Mercury retrograde, Venus is going to hit a conjunction to Neptune. That's actually a part of how we start this next week. There are misunderstood, ill-informed, unclear energies that are very much a part of where we're going next. And some people, as we go through parts of this week, we're going to second guess ourselves. We're going to question whether we're doing the right thing. Parts of the way this energy is making us go is to question, because we are meant to rethink, revise, refocus, reorganize, redo, re-strategize, repurpose, reinvigorate certain things. We start next week in a Mercury retrograde, but all of this week is riding out whatever energy culminated from the eclipse. And there's something about whatever culminated in the eclipse that is leading to that later mental turnaround. For some people, the human effect is something happened in the days up to the eclipse. Last week, we had a Venus-Saturn conjunction. We had other things that were going on. We had certain things that were making us aware of changes in our elders, making us aware in our changes in our roles and our responsibilities. But even when we go into this new role, or we start doing these new levels of treatment, or we start doing these new things, they're not all going to just boom, done, fit, perfect forever. No, they're going to take time to wrap our head around, to line everything out more appropriately. They're going to take time to kick in. Every day this week is trying to get an understanding as to what needs to kick in, what needs to get revised, what needs to change. And whether it's last week or this week, that brings that energy to light, it brings that information to light, we all know that the one thing Mercury retrogrades are good for are changes. The one thing you can count on eclipses for, changes. And what are we getting at the same freaking time? Both of them. So we're getting a lot of changes. Parts of this week are going to feel very, very slow because the human effect is not everybody is ready for change simultaneously. Some people will still not be ready for change whenever it commences because I don't like change. And I make fun of you for it. Get over it. Change is necessary. Change is where we're going next. This last week of March is putting something into perspective as to where we're going to make a choice, whether we like it or not, to make changes. For some people, those changes are literally going to mean life or death because it's impacting the body and it's impacting the health. For other people, those changes are going to be a part of your new role and your new responsibilities. The new thing that you are culminating into, who you are progressing into. And with that in mind, it's going to be slow to get everything going. That doesn't mean it's going to fail. It means everybody else needs time to be wrapping their head around what you've been working on, what you've been doing, what you've been changing, what you've been dealing with. So be aware of that. Changes are coming. The first round of those changes are part of the eclipse. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. If I do not respond back quickly, don't get testy with me. Get over it. I's human. And I got to deal with this shit too. I am not immune to these energies. I just know that they're coming. It makes it a lot easier to brace for impact. That's why I do shit like this. It's to help you guys be more prepared to brace for impact. Okay. I love everybody. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Sorry. Oh, one more announcement. Oh, I had one more announcement. Starting April 1st, yay, Mercury retrograde, we won't be doing Facebook Lives. We're actually going to do interactive Zooms. That was something that I've talked about in the last 2 Facebook Lives, but I wanted to actually announce that in these episodes. So I forgot to put this part at the front, and that's what I was forgetting. April 1st, as opposed to doing the Facebook Live where everybody's just hearing me, we're actually going to do group interactive Zooms. If you are not on Facebook with me, that's okay. Email me or message me saying, hey, the day of that Zoom, I want the link so that way I can get those links to everybody. So I will put that in the beginning of the the full moon and Libra episode, but I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon, and subscribe.